So I want to start off today with a question for you. How do you mathematically prove a good deed?
Oh, yeah, that is a tough one.
Right? Like, think about that for a second. You do something positive out in the world. Maybe you help a neighbor rebuild after a storm, or I don't know, you overhaul the waste management system in your office.
Or even something like going out of your way to source sustainable materials for a new product launch.
Exactly. You know it's a good thing. The people directly around you know it's a good thing. But how do you prove it objectively to someone who wasn't there?
Well, it is notoriously difficult, and honestly, it's a problem that has plagued human coordination for centuries.
Yeah.
Historically, doing good has always lived entirely in the realm of the subjective. I mean, we rely on personal trust. Or if we're talking about the modern corporate world, we rely on PR departments to, spin a really nice narrative with pictures of people planting trees.
Right, the classic corporate brochure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you move into the professional sphere, into global corporate sustainability, personal trust simply isn't a scalable metric. You need hard data.
Which brings us to today's deep dive. We are looking at a stack of sources today that detail a very specific and, frankly, kind of revolutionary framework originating in Malaysia.
Yeah, it really is.
It's called the Sustainability Impact Model, or SIM for short. And our mission today is to understand how this model takes those warm, fuzzy, subjective claims of doing good and transforms them into hard, legally recognized, mathematically verified data.
The shift in thinking here is massive. The key architects behind this framework are TEAS, Dr. Norsidatul Akmal Mazlan, and Think Plus Academy.
Okay.
And what they have effectively done is engineer a bridge. On one side of this bridge, you have raw grassroots action, like everyday people doing the actual work on the ground.
The actual good deeds.
Exactly. And then on the other side, you have the highly complex, heavily scrutinized, and, let's be honest, often bureaucratic world of global ESG.
Environmental, social, and governance credentials.
Right. ThinkPlus has created the infrastructure to convert that raw action into globally recognized currency.
And for you listening right now, whether you are a corporate executive trying to hit those elusive ESG targets, an entrepreneur building a startup from scratch, or, just someone looking to future-proof your own career, you really need to pay attention to this.
You absolutely do.
Because understanding how to mathematically verify your professional and societal impact isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It is rapidly becoming an essential survival skill in the modern economy. Okay, let's unpack this.
So to really grasp how this system proves impact, we have to start by looking at the yardstick itself.
Makes sense.
Because, you can't accurately measure something if your ruler is made of rubber and bends, depending on who is holding it, right?
Yeah, if the rules change for everyone, the score is meaningless.
Precisely. So the foundation of this sustainability impact model is built upon the globally recognized GPM P5 Framework.
Now, for those of you familiar with corporate sustainability, you've probably heard of the triple bottom line.
Right, the old standard.
Yeah, people, planet, profit. It was the gold standard for a very long time. But the sources show that the P5 framework takes that old standard and expands it significantly.
It does, because the triple bottom line, while good in theory, it leaves way too many blind spots.
Okay, how so?
Well, the P5 framework expands those three original concepts into 5 critical dimensions. You still have people, which measures your social impact, labor practices, community well-being, all of that.
Right.
You still have planet, focusing on environmental stewardship and resource conservation.
Sure.
And you have prosperity, which actually replaces profit.
Oh, interesting. Why the change in terminology?
Because it shifts the focus to broader economic viability and local wealth generation rather than just, shareholder returns. It's a more holistic view of economic impact.
Okay, so that's 3 Ps. What are the new ones?
Crucially, they add 2 more Ps. Process and product.
Process and product. Okay, I'm looking at these last 2, and it seems like this is where the framework kind of catches the hypocrites.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, for example, I could have a massive company producing eco-friendly solar panels. Under the old rules, my planet score looks amazing because solar panels are green.
Yes.
But if my process involves exploiting factory workers or running super inefficient carbon-heavy supply chains just to get those panels built, this expanded model is going to flag it, right?
That is the exact mechanism at play. Process looks at the governance and the life cycle of the work. It asks, how efficient is the management? Are you treating your workers fairly while you build this supposedly green thing?
Wow, okay. And product?
Product looks at the actual output. Is the final item you created sustainable from the moment it rolls off the assembly line to the moment it is eventually disposed of?
Right, like the entire life cycle.
Exactly. You can't just excel in one category and ignore the collateral damage in another.
Right.
It demands accountability across the board.
Now, Think Plus takes this P5 framework and uses it for what they call a microanalysis assessment.
Yes, the microanalysis.
They use a specific tool called the P5 Impact Analysis Table, and this is where physical, real-world actions are mapped directly against those 5 categories.
And it gets very specific.
Yeah, every single element of a project gets a score ranging from a -3, which is a severe negative impact, all the way to a +3, which is a strong positive.
And that scoring system, it forces a level of granularity that, honestly, most companies are terrified of.
I bet it's no longer just a binary question of, well, is this green or not?
No,
Yep.
not at all. It's a qualitative and quantitative assessment of every single moving part.
You know, the best way I can conceptualize this P5 table is like a nutritional label, but for a project's impact.
I would like that analogy.
Because for years, companies have basically been slapping a giant generic healthy sticker on their projects. Like, look, we're sustainable, we're green.
Right, the organic stamp.
Exactly. But this model rips off that generic stinker and forces you to show the exact ingredients and their measurable daily values. You can't just say we help the environment.
No, you have to show that you scored a +2 in Planet for water conservation, but simultaneously admit you scored a -1 in process for inefficient energy use during manufacturing.
Right. You have to show the whole picture.
What's fascinating here is that this framework forces a truly systemic view of sustainability. It completely eliminates the ability to hide your negative impacts behind one, highly publicized positive action.
So no more PR stunts.
Exactly. You cannot plant 1,000 trees for a photo op, claim you are a green company, and ignore the fact that your factory is dumping toxic runoff into the local river.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The microanalysis catches all of it because it measures the entire system.
Okay, having a strict measuring stick, this nutritional label, is a fantastic theory. But here is the obvious flaw in any self-reporting system.
The bias.
Yeah. If I am getting my own homework, I'm going to give myself a +3 across the board.
Of course you are. Everyone would.
I'm going to say my waste management is flawless. So to prevent people from just making up their own scores, you need an airtight way to record and verify that data. How does this system actually prevent bias?
Well, a framework is ultimately only as good as the data fed into it, right?
Right.
So Think Plus designed what they call a closed-loop economy workflow to solve this exact problem of human bias and trust. It begins with the individual doing the actual work, who they refer to in the model as the change maker.
Change maker, got it.
They log their sustainable action using a proprietary platform called the Trace Business app.
And to be clear, this isn't just someone typing, I did a really good job recycling today into a text box. They have to provide real proof.
Yes, they are
Yeah.
uploading primary raw evidence. We're talking about time-stamped and geolocated photos, actual weight logs from a waste processing facility, or even automated IoT sensor data pulled directly from a smart farm.
Oh, wow. So it's hard data.
Exactly. That raw data is then audited against the P5 table we just discussed. But the key to removing the bias is the next step. It doesn't just pass through an automated algorithm. A certified competency person must physically review and verify this evidence.
Okay, let me stop you there, because even with photos and sensor data, deciding between a +2 and a +3 still feels like kind of a subjective leap.
It can seem that way, yes.
So how does this competency person actually make that calculation without their own biases creeping in?
Well, they aren't just anyone. They are trained specifically by Think Plus or SUSNet to audit against rigorous, globally recognized standards.
Like what kind of standards?
The sources mention frameworks like ISO 14024, which is essentially the international gold standard for certifying the competence of personnel.
Ah,
So these auditors aren't just guessing. They're applying a strict, standardized rubric to the evidence. If the sensor data shows a 90% reduction in water use, the rubric dictates the score. It totally removes the guesswork.
okay, that makes sense. And once that competency person signs off, that verified impact is minted onto a blockchain ledger, which this system calls the dignity ledger.
Yes, the dignity ledger.
Now, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
Because I hear the word blockchain and my mind immediately goes to, cryptocurrency hype and tech buzzwords. Why do we need a blockchain for this? Why isn't a simple, secured spreadsheet or just a digitally signed PDF certificate enough to prove I did the work?
It is the most common pushback this technology faces, honestly.
Oh.
But it is also the most vital part of the infrastructure.
Mm.
The short answer is spreadsheets can be altered.
Sure.
A PDF can be easily forged, or more commonly, it can be massaged after the fact by a marketing department trying to make a quarterly sustainability report look slightly better for investors.
Right. Just tweak the numbers a bit.
Exactly. This retroactive tampering is the lifeblood of greenwashing.
So it's not just about storing the data. It's about making sure the data can never be touched again. I guess if we go back to the vault analogy, it's not just a vault. It's a vault made of bulletproof glass where everyone in the world can see exactly what's inside, but absolutely no one, not even the person who built the vault, can reach in and alter the ledger.
That is the perfect way to visualize it.
Mm.
Blockchain provides radical transparency and absolute immutability.
Immutability,
Yeah.
meaning it can't be changed.
Right. Once that competency person verifies your +3 score for water conservation and it is minted to the Dignity Ledger, it is locked in forever.
Wow.
No CEO or PR manager can go back 6 months later and change that +3 to a +4 just because they need better optics. It turns highly subjective, easily manipulated claims into objective, mathematically protected data points.
That's wild. But securing the data in a glass vault is only half the battle, right? Because a locked vault is useless if the currency inside isn't recognized or utilized by the outside world. So let's step away from the tech stack for a minute and look at how this data actually translates into the real-world economy. Because according to our sources, the true power of this model isn't happening in sleek corporate boardrooms.
No, it's not.
It's happening on the ground, starting with marginalized communities. Let's look at the Smart Farmability project.
Smart Farmability is a brilliant showcase of this model in action. It's an urban farming initiative in Malaysia designed specifically for individuals with disabilities, often referred to locally as the OKU community.
Okay.
Now let's run their physical labor through that P5 microanalysis table. Under people, this project scores a +3.
A maximum score. Why?
Because it is directly employing marginalized individuals, providing them with reliable income, and giving them entrepreneurial training they're often excluded from.
That's huge. And under Planet, it also scores a +3.
It does.
The sources say they're using closed-loop aquaponics, which is a method that grows fish and plants together in a shared water system.
Right, which is incredibly efficient.
Yeah, that specific method uses 90% less water than traditional soil-based farming.
And if we look at the product dimension, the output is premium organic produce. Because the aquaponic system completely eliminates the need for toxic chemical pesticides, it scores a +2 for producing a safe, zero chemical residue product that really benefits consumer health.
There's another incredible example in the documents regarding a community education initiative.
Oh, the RAFID school module.
Yes, this one targets lower income brackets, specifically single mothers using those modules.
And when you map that initiative to the P5 table, the results are deeply impactful. Under people, they score a +3 for offering flexible learning pathways.
What does that mean, practically?
It means they aren't just offering classes, they are structuring them so single mothers can actually study while simultaneously balancing their vital work and parenting responsibilities.
Which is usually the biggest barrier to education for that group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And under prosperity, they don't just hope for the best. They set a hard, trackable target, which is a 20% increase in household income for the participants within 6 months.
Wow, a hard target.
Yes, and achieving that earns a verified +2.
You know, looking at these two examples, it hits me that this system is effectively formalizing the informal economy.
Yes, that's a great way to describe it.
Because you have disabled farmers and single mothers doing vital, incredibly difficult labor just to survive and support their communities. But historically, that labor is invisible.
Completely invisible.
It doesn't show up on a corporate balance sheet. It doesn't get you a bank loan. The sustainability impact model finally gives that invisible labor a globally recognized exchange rate.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the implications for global development are staggering. This methodology provides actual legal and professional weight to the life skills of lower income and disabled groups.
It makes their work count.
Right. It takes daily survival labor, the ingenuity required to stretch a dollar, the resilience to manage a community project, and turns it into a tradable professional asset. They aren't just getting by invisibly anymore. They're generating verified, immutable ESG data.
Okay, so the sources make a massive deal out of the fact that this SIM model created by Think Plus, is formally registered with MyIPO. That's the Intellectual Property Corporation of Malaysia.
Yes, they do.
And I have to be honest, reading about trademark registrations usually puts me to sleep.
Oh, me too.
Why does patenting this specific model actually matter to someone outside of Malaysia? Like, why should a listener in London or Silicon Valley care about a Malaysian IP filing?
Well, think about Wi-Fi or Bluetooth.
Okay.
For those technologies to work globally, the foundational architecture had to be standardized and protected. If every company made up their own version of Bluetooth, your phone would never connect to your headphones.
Right, it would be a mess.
The same logic applies to measuring sustainability. By securing this intellectual property, Dr. Noor ensured that the architecture of the ecosystem, the Trace app engine, the exact -3 to +3 scoring matrix, and the Dignity Ledger process cannot be altered.
Ah, so it prevents a massive corporation from coming in, copying the idea, but, watering down the rubric so it's easier for them to score a +3.
Exactly that. It creates an unbending standardization. It makes the Think Plus methodology a proprietary sustainability tool.
Okay.
And this establishes a consistent rubric for national assessments,
Right.
like the Malaysia GPM Sustainability Awards, but more importantly, it protects the integrity of the data globally.
Here's where it gets really interesting. So it effectively transforms this entire system into an exportable Malaysian blueprint.
Yes, a blueprint for the world.
Because the methodology is legally protected and standardized, you can take this exact same ruler and apply it to an urban farm in Kuala Lumpur, a fashion startup in London, or a tech giant in Silicon Valley without ever losing the integrity of the data. A +2 in planet means the exact same thing everywhere.
It scales the vision globally while maintaining strict local legal authority as the primary verifier. The measuring stick never changes.
So we have this legally protected, blockchain-verified, globally scalable system that catches greenwashing and formalizes invisible labor.
It's a lot, but yes.
How does this ungameable ruler apply directly to you, the listener? What does this mean for your future career?
This is where the model translates into what Think Plus calls a personal ESG report, or a personal sustainability impact report.
So it's not just for companies.
Exactly. The days of relying solely on a traditional static paper resume are coming to an end. The SIM allows you as an individual to build a professional passport using the Trace app.
Interesting.
It actively tracks your personal P5 microanalysis over the course of your career.
Let's give a really concrete example of what we mean by microproof. On a traditional resume, you might write a bullet point that says, successfully reduced office waste.
Right. Classic resume speak.
And the hiring manager reading it just has to take your word for it. But on your personal ESG report, that entry looks entirely different.
It becomes highly specific and scientifically verifiable. Instead of a vague claim, your ledger shows diverted 150 kilograms of organic waste via an on-site composting system, verified via timestamped photos and weight logs by a competency person.
That is so much more powerful.
And because you ran that through the registered SIM model, you arrive at the interview with a mathematically verified +2 planet score attached to your name.
You are literally providing immutable receipts for your professional value.
Yes.
But reading through the sources, it goes beyond just looking good to a future employer. There is a massive, tangible payoff here called ABEL.
Yes, APIL, accreditation of prior experiential learning.
Right. What is that exactly?
APIL is where this entire system truly closes the loop and rewards the individual. It is a formalized, recognized system that allows people to convert their practical, applied life experience into actual formal academic credits.
Wait, so those verified SIM scores on your Dignity Ledger act as literal academic currency. You can buy degrees with good deeds.
In a sense, yes. Let's say you have spent 5 years running a community upskilling project. You don't have a formal degree, but you have the blockchain-verified +3 people and +2 prosperity scores to prove your impact.
Okay.
Think Plus Academy can take that audited ledger and use it to grant you APEL access. This can give you entry into higher education programs you wouldn't normally qualify for, or it can provide actual credit exemptions for executive master's or diploma programs.
That is incredible.
You are literally shaving time and money off a university degree because your real-world impact has been mathematically proven and verified.
So what does this all mean? If we synthesize everything we've explored today, we are looking at a fundamental shift in how human potential is evaluated.
A total paradigm shift.
Compare the old way of navigating your career, sending out a PDF resume, hoping the interviewer likes you, hoping they blindly believe your unverified claims with this new reality.
There's no comparison.
You walk into the room, not with a piece of paper, but with an immutable dignity ledger. You are arriving with a protected document that mathematically proves your exact societal, environmental, and economic value.
It is the stark difference between asking someone to trust your story and handing them the audited, undeniable accounting of your professional life.
Let's quickly retrace the journey we just took. We started with the yardstick itself, expanding the triple bottom line into the 5 Ps of the micro-analysis measuring stick: people, planet, prosperity, process, and product.
Right.
We looked at how subjective claims are removed by competency persons, secured through the Trace app, and minted into the glass vault of the blockchain to create the Dignity Ledger.
We explored how this system actually empowers marginalized groups on the ground by formalizing their invisible labor. And we discussed how registering this system with MyIPO isn't just paperwork. It creates a legally fortified, ungameable blueprint that can be exported globally.
And finally, we brought it right to your doorstep, looking at how you can build your own personal ESG report to generate actual academic currency through the APL system.
Which brings us to a call to action for you, the listener. Take a hard look at the projects you're working on this week.
Yeah, really think about them.
If you were forced to map them against the P5 framework, how would you actually score? Are your processes undermining your products? Are you genuinely generating a net positive impact? And more importantly, in this new landscape, can you actually prove it with hard data?
It's a challenging question. You can't just assume you're doing good anymore. You have to be ready to show the ledger.
This raises an important question, though. One that requires us to step back from the technology, the IP registrations, and the scoring rubrics.
And it's a thought I want to leave you with today. We are clearly entering an era where our professional value, our corporate sustainability, and even our everyday good deeds must be mathematically quantified.
Tend to be tracked.
They must be audited, scored, and minted on a dignity ledger to be formally recognized by the economy. So what happens to the invaluable human actions that can't be easily measured?
That's the real concern.
What about the quiet mentorship of a junior employee that doesn't generate a time-stamped photo? What about the deep emotional labor of holding a community together during a crisis, which doesn't neatly fit into a P5 microanalysis table?
Yeah.
In our absolute rush to mathematically verify every human action, do we risk undervaluing the inherently unquantifiable parts of being human?
Something to think about.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the sustainability impact model. Keep questioning the metrics, keep proving your impact, and we'll see you next time.